Hey guys, welcome to another Gauging Gadgets Fenix 6 tutorial video. In this video we'll be doing an overview of the system settings for the Fenix 6. So this includes the options that are available where you can change the language on the watch, you can perform a factory reset, you can set the time, change it to military, different things like that. So to get into the system settings, all we need to do is open the menu by holding the up button. Then once the menu opens, select the up button again until you see System. Select that using the Start or Stop button. Alright, so we're in the system settings right now, and when we first see the option for language, I'll select into that. So it's very straightforward how you would change the language on your Fenix 6. You would just go here, go up or down, and cycle through, find your desired language, and select it using the Start or Stop button. Next, in the system settings, we have time. In time, we can change the format to 12 hours, 24 hours, or military. We also have the ability to determine how the time is set. If you want to manually set it, rather than using GPS, you can do that here. And if you do that, it'll bring up a new menu where it says time, and you can go in there and change it and select AM, PM, things like that. Next in time, we have alerts, and this is pretty cool. I actually use this. So this is where you can set up alerts for till sunset. So I have a 50-minute timer that lets me know that the sun will be setting in 50 minutes so that I can go take a walk or finish some chores up, something like that. You can also do that for sunrise, and when you go into these, you can either turn them on or off, and then you can configure the time right here to be anything you want. It can be hours, minutes, seconds before sunrise or sunset. It's all up to you, and it's customizable. Then they also have an hourly alert that alerts you every hour. Next in time, we have time sync, and this is where you can set the watch based on GPS. So if you change time zones, I found this is a very quick way to have your watch update based on the new time zone. So I use it quite often. And if you select it, it'll use two different options. The first is going to be syncing with your phone, or you can select down to sync with GPS. After time in the system settings, we have Backlight, and Backlight is actually divided into two different sections. You have during activities and then not during activities. The menus will be exactly the same in here. I'm just going to go into not during activities. So first is keys, and this is where if you hit any of the buttons on the watch, it'll turn on the backlight. So as you can see, you have off, on, and then after sunset. So that's a good way to conserve some battery life where the keys on the watch, any button presses, will only turn on the backlight after sunset. You also have alerts where any notifications that the watch receives will turn on the backlight, and that also has the after sunset configuration option as well. Next we have gestures, and that's where if you turn the watch towards you, it'll turn on the backlight. So you do have the option for after sunset there. I'm very impressed with gestures on the Fenix 6. It will turn off very quickly if you turn the watch away from you. So it really only turns the backlight on when it's facing towards you, and it's very efficient. So I don't think you have to worry about too much battery life usage there. Next we have the timeout settings for the backlight. I have it on no timeout just for this tutorial, but you have tons of different options in here, all the way down to 4 seconds, and this will drastically affect your battery life. And it's a really good way to maybe get another day out of your battery life by just lowering that a little bit. After that, in the backlight settings, we have brightness. And while I have it on 100% now for this tutorial, I usually do around 20%. That gives me a really good battery life, and I can still see it in all settings. All right, we'll go back to the system settings. And next is going to be sounds. In sounds, we have keytones. So this is where you can have the watch actually make a noise every time a button is hit, as you can see. So that can get a little annoying. It might be useful in some situations though. We also have alert tones, and this is where if you get a notification, it just does that same noise. This can be set to be either on, off, or during activities. And during activities is default. We also have vibrations. So this is where you can turn off the vibrations on the watch by just going in there. There's no option to actually lower the vibration strength like on some of the other watches. So you can either have it on or off. And then they also have key vibe, where the watch will actually vibrate if you hit any of the buttons. Next in the system settings, we have Do Not Disturb, and this is where you can either turn it on or off, and Do Not Disturb basically turns off all alerts and notifications. It's a good thing if you're like in a meeting or something, but it's also really useful for during sleep. So in the Garmin Connect app, you can configure your sleep times and then have it set to automatically turn on Do Not Disturb during those times. I do recommend that because this watch will definitely wake you up if it is vibrating and making noise during that time. Next in the system settings, we have hotkeys, and this is one of my favorite features on the watch. So basically hotkeys is where you can assign holding down different button combinations or just individual buttons in themselves to open up different apps or menus on the watch. So I actually use it as a really quick way to open up the flashlight, which is just a very bright screen with a solid white face. It's actually really bright at night, and I can navigate and turn on the thermostat, different things like that, which just using my watch. But as you can see, you have tons of options in here for holding all of the individual buttons, but then combinations of buttons as well. So start and down, start and up, all different combinations like that. And let's go through one of these just so you can see all the available options. All right, and that was a list of all the items that are available for hotkeys. All right, going back to the system settings, we have auto lock, and this is where you can have the watch automatically lock during activities, not during activities, different things like that. This can be useful for boxing activities, or if you just don't want any random accidental presses of the buttons on the watch. It'll just kind of lock it down. After that, we have units, and this is where you can determine the units used on the watch for different measurements on the watch. After that, we have format, and this is where you can determine the format used for pace and speed for the different activities. Oh, and that last one was open water. And then you can also determine the start of the week, as well as your GPS position formats. So this is a big question for people in the military. This is how you would do that under formats in the system settings. Next in the system settings, we have data recording, and they have smart or every second. Every second will use your battery life more, but it'll be more accurate. And this is important for activities. If you want to get the most accurate recording during activities or throughout the day with your steps, you want to make sure this is set to every second. While smart is very good and it's more efficient with your battery life, it's not going to be the most accurate possible. And then we have USB mode, and basically what that does is just controls what the watch does when it's plugged into a computer using the included charging cable. Next in the system settings, we have reset, and they have several different options in here for performing different types of resets on the watch. You can reset all the settings. This will leave all the user information, all your watch faces and apps, but it'll reset all the settings back to factory. So if you change something strange, you can fix it here. After that, you can delete all the activities on the watch. Then you can reset your totals. So this would be, your running totals for the year, the month, the week, different things like that. And then you can perform a hard reset, which is a factory reset of the watch, removing everything from the watch, and then it'll be just like it was when it was new. Well, you'll have to go through the setup process on the Fenix 6. After that, we have software update, and this is pretty limiting with only the ability to configure if it will automatically update. And then last we have about. This is where you can see your version number, your unit ID, and different information about the watch. So that was a quick overview of the system settings for the Fenix 6. If you have any questions about this, leave a comment below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. If you'd like to see more Fenix 6 tutorial videos, check the links in the description. If this video helped you, give it a thumbs up, and please consider subscribing to my channel, Gauging Gadgets, more gadget reviews and tech tutorials. Thank you so much for watching.